We actually have a real rapper booked on the show today, Max. This is someone that you met actually when we were first launching the company a couple years ago.
Right.
You met as a local guy. What's the story with our guest?
You know, Rich is a musician. He's a publicist. He's an entertainer. A hell of a nice guy, an educator as well. We were at a brewery, and I believe it was a release album party, and someone introduced me to MC Bravado. I like to call him Rich. He's a great guy. And we started talking to him, and while we had a booth there, and we were baby birding people, we were letting people try the product. You remember, Steven?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we talked to Rich. We
Did you baby bird MC Bravado?
I think we did, if I remember correctly. He'll have to confirm in a second. He's smiling, so maybe.
All right.
But that's how we met him, and then I just kept the conversation going with him, and I think we built up a rapport, and I'm happy to have him join us today. It's really an honor, really an honor.
Happy to be here, guys.
Thanks, Rich. And it's great to have you on here. It's great to see your face and have you join us. Rich is a Baltimore self-made guy. Right, Rich?
Yeah, I taught over at Lake Clifton campus, high school English for a number of years. And summer 2018, I had the opportunity to jump on Vans Warped Tour, like the final cross-country installation of that. And that seemed like a good time to make the jump into music full time. So I've been doing that since then.
That's awesome, man. Now, I can't say that Prince Marky D was my favorite. He was one of the pioneers and one of the only people I could play on AM radio that are my favorites. I mean, of course, Run DMC were some of my favorites. MC Bravado, who inspired you to get into the rap game?
I mean, my influences will change pretty much every time I have the conversation. It's like too many to name. We recently lost another pioneer really on the lyrical side in MF Doom, who he had passed away on Halloween, but it was like just announced New Year's Eve or whatever. But he's a big influence in terms of he really crammed a lot of like internal rhymes and technicality into his stuff. Lupe Fiasco is a big influence and inspiration. But I would say like what really got me like loving hip hop, just like the visceral reaction that drew me to the music was the Fugees. When they put, the score out. Remember hearing like "Killing Me Softly" and I was like, "What is this kind of thing?"
It gives you chills when I hear that song too. That moves you.
My dad's a tough critic. My dad's a musician too. He's been playing guitar for forever, and I remember showing it to him as a kid, excited, and being initially met with like a dismissive, like, "Well, they're sampling Roberta Flack. It can't be that good." And then I played it for him, and he was like, "Oh my God, this is better than the original one," So that's how I knew I was kind of onto something, and I fell into like Nas and Jay-Z and guys like that. And yeah, just been at it.
Nice, and that's making the classic music good again, and bringing it up to date. You just launched an album this summer, right?
It's introducing a whole new audience to that type of stuff. Yeah, go ahead, Rich. Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. I put an album out called The Living Game that I basically made from the time where I quit my 9 to 5. Throughout the time I was really getting my sea legs there. That first year, really just being on my own. Obviously, a lot of self-doubt. You guys understand running a business. I mean, despite being a musician, that's what I'm doing. That's what I was doing, and having to figure everything out. Lost some people along the way. Relationships changed along the way, but gained a lot of perspective of self and a lot of wins. So it's definitely a roller coaster of emotions kind of album, and reflects my eclectic taste, in hip hop. So super proud of it. Definitely the best thing I've ever done so far.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. And I want to drill down a little bit because you have some, the video, we're going to give a clip of it later, is the new video you just launched, 4 a.m. What's the motivation behind that song?
That's meant to show that like if you watch the video, there's a scene where I'm in like a stretch limousine by myself, and it's not, and I'm in this crowded bar, but I'm sitting by myself, and it's not meant to like, even though it's like an upbeat like tune and a feel good record on the outside, it's also meant to reflect kind of the emptiness that can come with success. And being aware of that, being aware of the fact that it's important to hold on to the people that matter and your relationships, because it can get lonely quick, So as you're moving up the ladder as an artist, holding on to your humanity and the people that you started with matters. So that's what that song is kind of about.
Yeah, that's cool. And then the one with Joe Rogan, which really discourse, right? Clever strategy too. Tell us about that song.
So yeah, that was driven by just, I mean, kind of what I've seen is an inability to talk to each other, depending on what side of the political spectrum you're on, and it gets frustrating because I'll see just on my personal Facebook who I know to be two extremely rational adults just going at it like, children with no sense of decorum or respect for each other. And I don't know how you're going to gain allies like that, regardless of what side you're on. I don't know how you're going to meet in the middle or have a meaningful conversation. And I've always been a big fan of Rogan's platform for that, because he's going to sit down with you and he's going to talk to you and he's going to ask you tough questions, but he's going to listen to what you have to say. And whether it's teaching and having to do debate in my classrooms and instill a sense of decorum in those kids and just understanding how to talk to people, I think is a really crucial skill. With social media comes a lot of passive aggression and creating this bubble that's your bubble, and any idea that isn't in sync with that becomes the enemy. And I just don't think that's a healthy way to think.
Rich, I wanted to ask you, why EMCEE Bravado? Why that name?
So bravado is, kind of a put on arrogance, right? And I grew up very insecure. Tried my hand at a lot of stuff. I was decent basketball player, but by and large, sports weren't my thing. I was kind of a gangly, awkward kid with braces, for a good bit of my teens, and I just didn't have a lot of confidence. And through the writing, I found it. And at the end of the day, though, at least at that time, it was still, regardless of how confident I was on stage, it was still somewhat of a just there. That was the only place that I had it. So I still felt like to a degree it was a put on. But over the years, it kind of became my armor, and that confidence that I have up there started to trickle into my day to day. That's probably the best explanation.
Well, you know what? It's great about you, if I can call you Rich, is that you've learned a lot in your life. You're applying it in your life, but you're also giving back to people, especially in the community in Baltimore. You were talking about a program, Beats Not Bullets. If you can touch on that for a minute, it's pretty solid. What's up with that?
Beats Not Bullets. The guy driving it, Ogun, is shout out to him. He's like a Baltimore hip hop legend. He started that program. It kind of started also from something Chariz Marcel did, another artist here who's amazing. And me and Brandon Lackey, my partner, who was the reason I met you guys. It was his event that I met you guys at. Brandon owns Lineup Room Studios, and he was also a educator, like I was in the city, at an alternative school for emotionally disabled kids, like a last stop school we both worked at. We weren't there at the same time, but we both, in addition to obviously having an extreme passion for music, have that passion for education. And I got to a point in the classroom where I was like, I think I could be more impactful outside the classroom if I create a big enough platform and move the way I want to move without the shackles of the system, And Beats Not Bullets is one of those things. We pick, there's applicants to the program. They fall within the right age range and, check the right boxes for us. We bring them in and we teach them. It's all comprehensive. So you're talking about production, engineering, performance. One of the kids from the program, it was at the school that I used to work at, Reach Partnership, and I happened to be there. And I got with his teachers. He had attendance issues, but he had a ton of potential. And I talked to him. I was like, if you come to class and you come to the program, I'll bring you on stage with me at Soundstage. So when I opened up for Big Daddy Kane at Soundstage, he was on stage with me and got to do a verse. And that's what it's all about. When they graduate the program, we get them internships at studios, whether that kid now is an intern at Lineup Room Studio, which Brandon owns and I work out of. And we really try to get them a jump start in the industry and to continue to be there for them as mentors.
Nice, man. You're a smooth operator, just like Big Daddy Kane.
She mentioned Big Daddy Kane took it back. That's a good one.
We're going to take a break and be right back with stuff. We are going to get to CBD, folks, so stay with us. Welcome back to Understanding CBD. We got M. Diddy over there.
That's right. We got S-Dubs, I believe, over on the other side.
That's right. We're here with MC Bravado.
And what you just heard is 4 a.m. off of his new album, The Living Game.
That's right. That's some hot stuff right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're here to talk about some CBD here, and we got some good stuff covered in the beginning and some background on MC Bravado. If you didn't join us earlier, he's a local guy, was a teacher and a rap artist and entertainer, really, and is spreading a really great message. So we brought to talk about CBD and how it's impacted his life, and we want to get to that. But before we do, you have two cats that are important to you, don't you?
Yeah, well, I have. So a few years ago, I inherited two cats from my sister who were like senior cats, and they're no longer with me. But I have one that I adopted, who basically came to my ex and I in the parking lot of a movie theater, like a cold and snowy night. So we named her Arya, like the Wanderer, after like Game of Thrones character, and. She is, like I am a hardcore cat dad now. That
yeah. So listen,
hated than mine by a lot.
MC Bravado, listen, we got a little surprise for you. So we were talking on the other day, before the show, just to say, hey, making sure we're still set up for Sunday. And you mentioned, you asked us questions. Hey, what about CBD and using it for my cat? And Max and I are dog owners, so we're more familiar with that. We've worked with dog trainers, and we had some anecdotal information, at least, to pull from. Connecting with veterinarians has been difficult in Maryland, and I think there's some restrictions. But I put out in the universe after our call that I really wanted to get someone to give you some answers, right? I mean Google, and it came back with some great results. We were able to connect with Dr. R. Okay, Dr. R. And I'm just going to say her name, Dr. R, just to keep her identity secret, because it's hard to find vets, and I'm not sure why they don't want to talk about it, but just to protect her identity. But let me assure you, she's an expert. She's had a practice for 35 years in holistic veterinary practice. She is, a medical vet, so she has some experience. Dr. R, are you on the phone today?
Yes, I'm here.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And our guest, MC Bravado, I'm not sure if you had a chance to hear the beginning of the show and his awesome song for him, but he's got a cat with some issues. It's a rescue, right?
Yeah. I've had her for about 2 years, and she got really sick a few weeks ago, like wasn't eating. We didn't know what was going on. Ran every test under the sun, ultrasounds, everything. But it turned out after a biopsy and all that they think it's like irritable bowel disease. So I'm just looking into ways to, I guess, deal with that. And if CBD is part of that equation, that's awesome.
What do you think, Doc R?
Well, I would say it's worth a try. I would recommend you start very low with just a few drops and move up. CBD doesn't help every cat that's out there. But bear in mind that digestive issues are very strongly connected to anxiety, stress, and CBD can help with that. Our digestive tract is just full of neurons, and it can. And as I said, if she's stressed or there's anxiety of some sort, then calming would definitely help. That'd be certainly one of the ways that I would help, and the other is I use a lot of homeopathy to turn around these kind of kitties.
What kind of things have you tried to do, Rich?
Well, I just got the diagnosis about a week ago, so she's on a prednisone, I think, the steroid or whatever. We just started her on that, and she's on a GI diet as well. So I feel like I could put the CBD, like maybe like a couple drops in with like one of the snacks that she likes. And I'll do that today and just see how she starts to take to it.
So I recommend that you put it directly on her mucous membranes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's supposedly the best way for CBD to be absorbed.
Because the issues came when I left town for a couple of days. Like I have to leave town again on Friday, which I'm a little concerned about. So that, I think you're entirely right, because whatever triggered that episode happened when I was gone.
Stress.
So Dr. R, you're saying as far as giving a cat CBD, sounds like similar to humans as opposed to putting in their food versus right in their mucous membrane. You mean dropping it in their mouth, or? Exactly.
You can put it on the gum right above the canine or on the tongue. And it's only, I definitely recommend only starting with a couple drops and moving up. because every cat is different as far as how they respond to CBD, and some don't respond at all. So, but it's, an individual dosing, but you have to start low.
Yeah, and Doc R, I know the first thing that Rich and most pet owners are concerned about is harm for their pet. And there's always wrong ways of using CBD and hemp and cannabis for yourself and your pet. Do you have any sort of like quick warnings that maybe we can have our listeners look out for?
Well, the only thing I have seen in the research is they've found some elevation of liver enzymes, and I think this was in dogs. So the main thing is to use it as low a dose as you can, and perhaps not long term. Wait until to effect, and then maybe a week or two afterwards. And so I wouldn't use it as a long term supplement unless you're having blood work done on a regular basis.
Doc R, I want to ask you a quick question, and thank you so much for joining our show today. Do you have a lot of your patients come in asking about CBD? Just curious.
I would say maybe 10%, and I don't really, we're not allowed to recommend it right now in Maryland, but I do have a lot of clients that ask about CBD.
Got it.
So
Thank you.
With homeopathy, I generally don't need a whole lot of supplements.
Mm-hmm.
Homeopathy tends to treat pretty much everything, and it treats the emotional status of the cat as well as the physical. But certainly CBD has its place for calming, for pain relief, appetite stimulation. So, it's a great tool, and you only need a couple drops. So that's what's great in cats. You don't have to give them a whole lot.
And they can't lie to you.
And they can't lie. There's no placebo effect.
Right.
That's right. Hey, Doc R, thanks for joining us today. We definitely want to talk about getting you back on the show and digging deeper into homeopathy when pets are concerned, because I know it's a big topic, and we really appreciate you joining us.
Thank you for helping.
And I'm going to give up your identity because you didn't incriminate yourself here. That's Dr. Jennifer Ramelmeyer, right? And she's got a practice at Ramelmeyer. Thank you, in Clarksville, Maryland. So thanks for joining us and helping out Rich today and his pussy cat. That's right.
Aww.
That's right.
You're so welcome.
Thanks. So, Rich, now, of course, that's important, and we had to take that off your plate first so you could focus on telling us your story, because when we met, you tried our product, and I think it plays a unique role in the hip-hop world because entertainers get nervous, just like everyone else, just for one thing. But tell us about your personal story. What role does CBD play in your life and that like?
Well, so I took it. I started really taking it the year before I left for Warped Tour, 2017, 2018. And one time one of my coworkers at the school was like, basically he was implying like I took an edible, but it was CBD, it was a chew. And I took it in the computer lab, and he was like, man, I can't believe you're taking like a weed edible in school. I'm like, dude, this is not the same thing. Like, this is not going to affect my train of thought. Like, no, this calms me down. And I've been passionate about it because I don't like, with cannabis in general, I'm sure you guys are much more familiar than me, but I just don't like how it would be accepted, like, say, in a teaching environment. It's accepted for, like, oh, we're going to go to happy hour and have a few drinks. Mm-hmm. I'm on X, Y, and Z prescription.
Well, teachers love doing that. Teacher happy hour?
Right. It's so fine. Like, teach their own. Do it. But I'm not going to that. But because I'm taking something cannabis-based, there's, like, you know what I'm saying? Which
it's the stigma, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, way better for me, and there's, like, something attached to it there. That's frustrating. But as far as, like, so I'm passionate about that because some people have said even since, like, oh, you're open about being a patient, using CBD, using THC. I'm like, I am, because I think it's my role. People got into it like it would interfere with my image as an educator. But I'm like, I think it's part of my role to show I can be all of those things, and that it's, regardless of your role or your capacity, you can still be someone people look up to. Like, that's a ridiculous way to think.
Yeah, people can smell a fraud too, and you know that from the rap game.
Absolutely, but to get into how it really helped me the most, I have irritable bowel myself, which is kind of crazy that my cat has it now. So it helped. I don't know about the nature-nurture extent there. I hope it's not my fault. But
we can talk about it. We got a guest next week who can help with that.
That's for sure. Yep.
I started taking it, and it helped me there. But mainly when I went on Warped Tour, like I had this habit of before I did a show, I'd like to have a few drinks. I'd be wound up about the show, preparing for the show, what we had to execute, and I'd have a few drinks. Well, I knew going into Warped Tour, if I'm playing 40 shows in a month and a half,
That's a lot of drinking.
Oh, yeah, you're going to need to wring out that liver.
Yeah, like I can't do that. So like I had to figure something else out, and I was taking CBD every day, and I would take before my set and like throughout the day, and that I didn't drink before any one of those shows that summer, and that kind of says it all for me.
It's a game changer.
Yeah, it really helped me take off the edge and just feel at ease when I was doing my performance without the need for alcohol. So that's another major key for me, and I take it every day since then. I really enjoy yours too because it's just very it just feels very clean, tastes clean, all that.
We appreciate that. Now, is it, I guess on the tour, I mean, it's the people talk about like using CBD, or is it still, most people using alcohol out there? And I know that now the cannabis and marijuana is legalizing all over the world, over the country. It's definitely opening up more. Are you seeing more and more of that at shows and whatnot?
Absolutely. Somebody who was on the way I did Warped Tour, it was like a MTV show. I mean, I jumped on an RV with like 7 strangers and slept on a kitchen table that converted into a bed. But one of the girls who was on the RV, Justine Markman, very talented singer, songwriter, she used it every day too. So we instantly discussed that. And yeah, there were a bunch of other people that I met out there that use it. So it was more widespread than I thought in 2018. And obviously it's just gotten more popular since then. Because that's, for musicians, I think that's just a big thing, a way of feeling at ease without using something like alcohol or something that really alters your mind state, that takes away from the sharpness of what you're doing. I could be sharp as can be and take it and still feel calmer, so.
I think that says it all. I mean, it's always great to find something that'll take the edge off, that's a natural thing. And what better solution than something that you can also use for your pet, I mean, it's a plant, right? That's what we come back to all the time. And if it takes the edge off, how could that be a bad thing?
Yeah, exactly. It's something obviously we love, and we appreciate you joining us to show. We got maybe about a minute or so left. What's next for EMCEE Bravado? Tell us what's happening on the horizon for you.
Sure. Well, I've got I got another video in the can this Friday. I leave for Florida. I'm shooting 2 more there, so I'll have 3 more videos in the can. I've got a remix for 4 a.m. coming out. Got another single coming out called Yeah Baby in the next 30 days.
Well, you got you got a big video down in Florida, right? You're facing a big cat, right?
Bring CBD.
What's going on there?
Yeah, I may or may not be signing a waiver. That.
What's happening? You have a big cat in a cage there? What's the setup?
Yeah, we rented a reserve. So if this tiger bites me, you don't
hear that every day.
If this tiger, I lost like my screen there for a second. If the tiger bites me, it's my fault basically. So I don't want to give too much away as to why I'm doing this, but I promise there's a method to my madness, and this is not just me being a total.
All right, cool, man. Where do we want to send the listeners? Thanks for being on the show, brother. We'll talk to you soon. Where should everyone go to check out your stuff?
You can get me at Spotify, Instagram. Everything is EMCEE Bravado. I'm not Drake, so I don't get cute.
That's right, folks.
Thanks for joining us, Rich. We appreciate it, man.
Yes.
Stay in touch. We'll be talking again. Thank you.